So I saw this post on Instagram. In fact, I'm going to share this post with you. Bam, bam, bam. So this post right here. And I thought it is going to be worth unpacking what she's saying and going over if you can actually build out definition in your body if you're training for Hyrox. And ultimately, this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler, how to do it yourself. Because 100% it is possible to build out definition, to build out, that strong physique that by training for Hyrox. I think a lot of people, including this coach here, they don't understand how to train for Hyrox. They don't know how a good Hyrox program will look. They think it's you have to run more and just focus on that and cardio kills your gains and all that sort of stuff. But it's not quite true if you ask me. So let's unpack what she's actually saying to start with.
Going to get to the muscle definition that you want. Well, yes, some of the stations do require a base level of skill and strength. Once you build that strength, there's no progressive overload. The weight doesn't increase. You just try to do it faster. Most of the athletes that you see started Hyrox after a prolonged period of strength training. I think as we continue to see the sport grow, if it does continue to grow, the elite athletes are going to be getting smaller, not more muscled. Hyrox is probably...
So there's a few underlining things where I think she's fundamentally wrong. And we're going to start with, can you build out definition when you train for Hyrox? 100% you can. Even if you just focus on the cardio side, even if you just run more, if you're coming from relatively untrained, you can still probably build out a little bit of definition when you go through a weight loss journey. Because let's just say you weigh 100 kilos. Pick out random numbers right now. I'm not saying you weigh 100 kilos, but let's say you weigh 100 kilos, okay? If we weigh 100 kilos, one thing you're going to realize, right, as you drop body fat, we think about this, you've got 20 kilos body fat, 20 kilos muscle. Let's just stick to those numbers because they're easy. And this is going to go in with the assumption that your protein's good, that your sleep is good, and all that sort of stuff is good as well. Let's say you do well, you drop 10 kilos of body fat, but you don't do a huge amount of strength training. You do, a little bit of strength training, but you focus on your running, you focus on your aerobic, which doesn't have a huge sort of correlation to building out muscle. You could drop, let's just say 5 kilos of muscle. All of a sudden, you weigh 15 kilos less, and you've got much less body fat percentage compared to your muscle percentage. Yes, I said that the right way around. So you think about that. That in turn will improve your definition because you're going to have less body fat you have in your body. Despite your muscle might have gone down a little bit, you're going to see a lot more muscle. You're going to look a lot more defined just by doing that alone. So there's the first issue in my eyes about her claim. It misses that real fundamental thing that is right in front of you. Now, she goes on to talk about how the stations don't change, how the weights don't change, and it just turns into doing it faster, which she is 100% right. And this is where I feel like there is a huge issue in her knowledge when it comes down to how to train for a Hyrox. Because if you take a lot of my clients, we go through a real hybrid approach. Hybrid is, in all honesty, a glorified term for strength and conditioning. Whilst Hyrox, I think, was invented in 2028, it realistically took off massively post-COVID. So Hyrox is new. So obviously, the athletes in Hyrox will have a different background because you can't be training for Hyrox back in 2010 before it's been invented. So when it comes down to our training, a lot of people are still trying to find out the most effective ways. And you are seeing slight differences in terms of the physiques on show, especially when it comes down to the Elite 15. You will have someone, let's go back into a screen share, okay? You have someone who's probably one of my more favorite Hyrox athletes. He's a little bit controversial, but Hunter. Now, full disclosure, Hunter was sort of built in CrossFit, and that's where, he sort of came from. But he's managed to maintain and build a little bit of muscle definition to himself here. So it is possible because if you look at the way he's training right here, you'll notice he's doing strength training. He's an Elite 15 athlete. He's doing a heavy trap bar banded deadlifts. And that is going to be fantastic for muscle growth. That is the fundamentals of strength training. And that is probably the fundamentals of that original creator who was talking at the start, because she comes from a powerlifting background, a strength background. We look at, again, just using Hunter right now as an example, for building out definition. We've got box squats here. Do you mean? So there is still a lot of strength training within Hyrox training. Just because we're training for Hyrox doesn't mean we neglect your strength. Just because we're training for Hyrox doesn't mean you only go for runs and you do cardios and you do Hyrox classes. We still need to build out a strong body. Because the thing with Hyrox, there's a lot of volume. And a lot of volume, we need a strong body to maintain and hold that volume without being injured. And that's why I focus so much on strength. That's why my company SAB stands for Strong As Bitch or Strong As Flow. We focus a lot on strength training. So as we increase the volume of the Hyrox training, we are avoiding injuries. And I'll get to how you can sort of program your week yourself towards the end of this video. But look, and this is probably the people she's more thinking about. Do you have a guy called Dylan? So Dylan Scott, he won Hyrox this year. And he looks more like a conventional runner. Now, firstly, he's still got wicked definition. Do you know what I mean? He's still got good definition here. Like, yes, you know, he is lean. He's very lean. But there's a lot of definition. So even the elite Hyrox athletes have a decent amount of definition. Now, Hunter was experimenting a little bit with his prep, where he focused a lot on the strength and what he would call sustained power output. And this is where there will probably be overlaps between sustained power output training to an extent and bodybuilding, because sustaining that power output is about high reps. So sort of doing 15 to 20 reps on the leg extension, then going into the sled push. Doing things like that where your body's got that high power and it needs to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Otherwise known as in the bodybuilding world, slightly different, but it's high volume training. So your body, your muscle sort of responds to the amount of volume that you put through the muscles. That's one of the key ingredients when it comes down to muscle growth. It's the amount of volume that you put in through your body. And I shared this earlier on my profile, on my story even. This, let me go back here. Here, hoping, pause. That is my before and afters. That's about 9 months apart. Now, look, I know I'm a coach. I was coaching at this point, but I was also backpacking around Australia. I was going out boozing about 5 times a week. And then that is me sort of a lot more locked in, dialed in, and competing in a Hyrox right there. And you're going to tell me that training for that Hyrox, yes, I know I don't look like Arnie, but training for that Hyrox didn't improve my muscle definition, didn't make me look more defined. You can sort of clearly see it there yourselves. Do you know what I mean? So it does work. There is a lot of overlap when it comes down to training for Hyrox and building out muscle definition. Because especially people, you know, if you're 60 minutes to 2 hours or whatever, if you're above that 60-minute mark, you will still have a lot of benefit to getting stronger and getting better at running. Now, they will go hand in hand. And Hyrox, and I've said this for a while now, Hyrox will not benefit the person who can deadlift the heaviest. Hyrox will benefit the person who can keep that sustained power output, who can deadlift, 100 kilos for 100 reps kind of thing. It will benefit those sort of people than the people who can just do an outright 1 rep. And you look at some of the physiques right now at show within Hyrox, and it really shows that you can build a very strong and a very defined body through Hyrox. But the most important thing is when we're focusing on your training, we're not focusing on just doing more Hyrox. We're focused on hybrid training. We're focused on strength and conditioning. And I feel like this is where people get it wrong, because they think to get better at Hyrox, I need to do more Hyrox classes. So I'm going to go in and batter myself. But that's not the case. So before I move into showing you sort of some Hyrox before and afters from people I follow on Instagram, in fact, I'll show you a few of my clients as well. I want to go over like a decent training program for you guys. So we're going to do a few different days. Let's do a 3-day, 4-day, and then 5-day, 6-day. So I'm going to pop it on here. Hopefully that will come into focus. What I might do, hang on, I think I learned a new trick with this camera. If this works, this will be quite cool. Wait, no, not this one. Right, so ignore these shorts, by the way. If I move that there, Hang on a second. So, no, we can't really see that, can we? Okay, that didn't work as well as I thought it would. Let me try this one. Bam, bam, bam. No, none of this is working really, is it? Cool. Right, I'll just tell you as I'm writing what I am writing. So let's go back into iPhone camera. There we go again. What is up, sir? Let's say you have 3 days to train. Okay, you've got 3 days to train and we want to get good at Hyrox. The way I would structure your program, the way I would try to utilize the amount of time that we have, and this is the most important thing, it's when we get into like the elite Hyroxes, as we start moving up the scale, the amount of cardio will really start ramping up, and up. We want to do sort of what I would call like the baseline strength training within it to get the body strong, to get the body ready for Hyrox, to be able to push the sleds, to be able to do the walking lunges, to be able to run a lot without picking up injuries. So Monday, we'll very simply just do a full body strength. And to be honest with you, if you're doing 3, 4, 5, or 6 days a week, Monday, full body strength is a fantastic day to start. Okay. Then Tuesday. So Tuesday this week for the people who want to train 4 times a week, 5 times a week, or 6 times a week. Okay. And my battery's about to die. Sorry about this, guys. Oops, shoot. That's just got dark all of a sudden. Let me. Sorry. Look, I always try to keep these videos unedited because I want you to see what my life is like and how I do everything. So if I quickly, because I feel like the way people rely on AI nowadays, you don't know what's real, you don't know what's fake. So I'm going to keep this in so you know this is not just an AI bot doing this work. You'll be able to see what I was seeing there. But cool. Anyway, sorry. We digress. So if you train 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, or 6 days a week, we start with our full body strength. Now, our full body strength will be normally a deadlift pattern. And then we do upper, stroke lower supersets. Now, look, I'll go into a lot more nuances within my coaching. I make it a lot more personalized than what I'm going to be giving you guys right now because I'm talking to the masses. But if you are interested in coaching, if you want to know how I can personalize this and ultimately not only get you to the start line of your next Hyrox, but get a time that you're genuinely really proud of, drop me a message or actually I'll put a link into the caption about my coaching. Then, if you're training 4 days a week, the day after the full body strength, we will do a Hyrox workout. So, zone 3, 2, zone 13 minutes. So within this Hyrox workout, we'll do probably about 30 minutes in that zone 3 to that zone 5. So where we're hitting that high intensity. Then for the last 10 minutes, we'll dial it back. We'll do a little bit of zone 2 work. So we're really working on that aerobic capacity as well as working on that sort of race intensity. There's so many different ways I do my clients' Hyrox workouts. Normally it goes down to what I feel like they need most work on, depending on how fit they are, how strong they are, and that sort of stuff. But that is 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6. So that's only for people who can train for 4, 5, or 6 days. Then Wednesday, we will tend to do a long run. And that can vary between a threshold, stroke, zone 2. So if you're only training 3 times a week, I'll probably recommend, feel free to write this down, 3, 4. So if you're training 3 times a week, what I recommend you do half threshold, half zone 2. So that could be something as simple as 4 minutes working as hard as you can, 3 minutes down in that zone 2. Do that 5 times and do the rest of the time that you have in the gym available in zone 2. Now, if you're working out 4 days a week, have a rest day. If you're working out 5 days a week, maybe just focus on that being pure zone 2. If you're working out 6 days a week, keep that in zone 2. Then on Thursday, we move into a lower body plus threshold. And this lower body with threshold, that will be for people who train 4, 5, 6 times a week. Zone 2, zone 2. So I will go over this and recap at the end, but hopefully you guys have a pen and paper and you're writing this out. Because this is, to an extent, how complicated programming can actually be. And as I said, if you want me to look after all this sort of stuff for you, feel free to drop me a message. So then we move into Friday, where if you do 4 or 5 times a week, we're doing upper body with tempo, focusing on that posterior chain. If you're training 3 days a week, you're doing posterior chain plus tempo run. Then for the people who run 6 days a week, Sunday, long run. So quickly recap what we've gone over. Full body strength on Monday, regardless of training 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week. Then if you're training 4, 5, 6 days a week, you'll do a Hyrox workout. You want about 30 minutes to be zone 3 to zone 5 with 10 minutes within zone 2. Wednesday, if you're training 4, 5, 6 times a week, if you're training 4 days a week, we rest. 5 days, 6 days a week, we're doing 60 minutes in that zone 2 territory. If you're training 3 days a week though, you do half threshold, half zone 2. Then Thursday, that's only for people who train 4, 5, 6 times a week. You've got your lower body with your threshold work. Now, you probably want to be spending in that lower body good 30 minutes on Hyrox related patterns. So that's sort of your lunge, your dead, your squat, your hinge, all those sort of patterns. Then threshold, you want that to be a good 20 minutes. Then upper body, again, focusing on your posterior chain, and the upper body is for people who train 4, 5, 6 times a week. If you're doing 3 days a week, that's a posterior chain focus with a tempo run as well. So you're including your lower body there, basically. Then on Sunday, for the people who are training 6 days a week, you're out doing your long run. That there is a very quick, scribbled over Hyrox program, how I base my programming. And you notice, and again, this is what I'm trying to explain, why people who comment saying Hyrox is not good for definition, Hyrox is not good for building out strength. Monday, you're going to have 4, 8, 12, 16. You're going to potentially have about 20 good working sets. Then the Hyrox workout, that's going to be high intensity, going to be fantastic for burning off body fat. Then we're out doing a long run. We're working on our cardio. We're working on our heart health. You've then got your lower body where you're going to get another good 12 to 16 working sets into your lower body. Then on Friday, 12 to 16 working sets into your upper body. Yes, if you do a bodybuilding focused programming, you will build out more definition, but you will build a lot of definition following this style of programming, and you will get good at Hyrox. And the beautiful thing about this is we start moving the goals away from just your aesthetics, just how you look, just your definition, and we turn it into something a lot better. We turn it into realistically focusing a lot more on your relationship with food, your relationship with your body, and we start celebrating what your body can do. We start celebrating what you have achieved. I don't know. I'm sorry, I had to re-plug in my microphone because my phone was been charged. But we start celebrating what your body can do rather than just focusing on your aesthetics, on your definition. And that is something why I preach Hyrox so much to my clients, which is why I genuinely urge everyone, give Hyrox a go. Because you start realizing how awesome your body is. Now, before I dash off, I want to show you some people. So, right. In fact, what would be the easiest way to show? I just, because I coach a lot more now in Hyrox, a lot of my clients, we don't really focus on before and after photos, we focus on other formats. So let's just go over this. This guy, Robert James. I'll be honest with you, I've started following him over the last month or so. He's a decent follow. He's a coach as well. Um, but again, you come here, you have a look at his rig. He's got a very defined rig. And yes, has pure Hyrox focus training made that? Probably not, no. Has going to a good S&C sort of program help made it? Yes. Going to a program like this, would that help make it? Probably would, yes. And this is where it's just so important that when we focus on Hyrox training, and right now I'm trying to get into my lifestyle content because I'm trying to work with some brands. To ultimately money I make from the brands that I work with, I try to donate to charity. So it's always nice donating money to charity. But I follow her now. And again, look, you look at how successful she is within Hyrox. She's worth a follow. Is this a no. She posted it on her story. Can't find it on her main grid, but she posted her before and afters on her story. And she built a lot of definition through sort of a hybrid format. And this is where I think it's important we start changing. Let's see if this one's going to be on. No. Where we start sort of seeing Hyrox training as I need to just do Hyrox workouts. I need to just run. We need to take a good S&C approach. We need to get good at Hyrox by not just doing more Hyrox, by getting stronger, fitter, and healthier. But yeah, I can't find her. She would have been a really good example there as well. But look, there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people out there. And again, if I go into where is my key hybrid that? So to scroll up. So we're just talking about Hyrox related things, but he talks about I can't find it. There's it. But yeah, he talks about one of his mates, his doubles partner, who let's see if I doubles. Let's cheat. It's not wanting to search. But yeah, he talks about his double partner who obviously went through one hell of a transformation as well. And that's the thing. Hyrox can provide you with a lot of definition. Hyrox can provide you with a wicked transformation. And I think it's so important that we really focus on what Hyrox is there to do. Because Hyrox is not about just getting this big time. Hyrox is not about going sub 16 in my eyes. Hyrox is not about going sub 90. Hyrox is there to help you to become the fittest, strongest, healthiest version of you. You will look phenomenal if you do the training properly. If you focus on your strength training and you take a good hybrid approach to your training. Again, if you have any questions about your training, drop me a message. I genuinely am here to help you. But yeah, if you take the right approach to your training, you can get a wicked transformation where you're going to build out a strong body, a defined body. Yes, we can put you through a bodybuilding prep program that will build up more definition, but for those sort of the small percentages at the top, let's just say to pick random numbers, Hyrox could get you 90% of the definition at your max. Bodybuilding will take you up to that 100. But the amount of sacrifice between the two will not be worth it. You can build a fucking wickedly defined body through doing a hybrid approach by doing a program like that that will also help you get ready for Hyrox. So can Hyrox build definition? Yes. Is Hyrox the only way to build definition? No. Are there more effective ways to build definition? Yes. In my eyes, is Hyrox one of the most complete ways to look at your health? Yes. But if you guys have any questions about anything, please feel free to drop me a message, drop me a follow on Instagram. I'm now trying to grow my YouTube channel. So feel free to just, what do you say for YouTube? Subscribe? I don't know. I'm new to this game. But anyway, till then, have a great day, guys. Take care. Bye.